Jamie and welcome back to my channel. Today is another episode of TV Talk, episode 4 I believe. And yeah, so this is everything that happened in April to do with TV that I find interesting, and a bit at the end about what I watched in April. As usual, all the timestamps will be in the description so you can pick and choose what you want to watch. And yeah, let's just get straight into it. So the first piece of news is that Netflix has decreased in value, like its share price. I'm not entirely sure on the correct terminology, but yeah, it's not doing very well. So yeah, this is kind of like a follow-on from last month's, where I talked about how Netflix had announced that it was going to be increasing its prices and also cutting down on like password sharing. And yeah, this month we have seen the effect on this and like the knock-on of this. So for this first quarter, Netflix has lost 200,000 subscribers and failed to meet its like subscription target, which yeah, it's not really surprising. Also, the shares in Netflix dropped by 35% and the stock price decreased by nearly 50%, which is ridiculous. They've lost out on a lot of money. I think the worst part of this though is that Netflix have announced that they have fired. Oh, actually, I don't think Netflix announced. The people who got fired announced that they got fired. Fired a bunch of staff for Tudum, which is their website where they like market Netflix, and like a bunch of people have been fired from there, which I don't think it's been like officially linked to the kind of the reducing value of Netflix, but it's obvious it's kind of a result of that. It has also cancelled a bunch of shows, some publicly, some like not so publicly, which is again is a shame. There was this really cool animation, I can't remember what it was called, but I saw a tweet about it and I remember seeing the announcement of it and thinking that was quite cool, but yeah, they have since cancelled that. So why is this happening? There are lots of reasons why this is happening. So the increase in price, the cut down on password sharing and them kind of being a bit strict with that, which is not a good look in my opinion. Netflix is notorious for cancelling shows. I know a lot of people have been very annoyed with shows that they have cancelled. A lot of people's favourite shows have been cancelled. Yeah, Netflix is quite notorious for that. So yeah, they're not stopping that and focusing their attention on like producing cheap shows. And yes, they do well, but in a way, but it's just not a good look for me. Like, focus on the quality of the shows you're producing rather than the quantity, like 100%. So another big piece of news, this is a bit more positive, is about the Percy Jackson series, which is Percy Jackson and the Olympians, and it is going to be a Disney Plus show. So Rick Riordan, I never know how you pronounce his name, Riordan will be writing most of the scripts for the TV show, which is kind of a big difference from the films, because from as far as I'm aware, he didn't have much of the involvement in the script with the films, which is part of the reason I believe why they didn't do as well as they could have done. And yeah, he's having just a lot more creative control, which I think is a great move. So the big piece of news that kind of brought this back into my attention, because it has been a while since it was announced, was that Walker Scobell has been announced as Percy, and I think it's fantastic news. I really enjoyed him in the Adam Project. I think it's great that we've got somebody cast who is the same age as the character in the books. Yeah, I think it's great, and I think that kind of age range from like 12 to, I don't know, probably like 10 to kind of like 14, I think they're a kind of like an age group that I feel like haven't really got shows like particularly like directed at them, and like, yeah, targeted towards them, and things that actually like show, you know, primarily the main characters are people their own age. I would say like up until when you get to like 10, you're still kind of watching like your children's TV shows, and then kind of once you get into like high school or like middle school in America, then you're like pushed more towards the more mature teen things, which I feel like, yeah, like a lot of people in like middle school are watching things like Euphoria and things like that, even though like it's, yeah, I don't know if you kind of get what I mean. I think it's nice that they've actually got something that is showing like with people their own age. And yeah, things at the moment, whenever they're talking about teenagers, they're always like, well, we must make this dark. I'd say the only exception to what I just said would be like Stranger Things. I think that was very good with, you know, having people their own age. And also, if we go way back, like the Harry Potter things, you know, casting people that are actually the age of the characters, I think is fantastic. No hate to the actors in the films. I actually thought they were all really great. I have actually no kind of issues with their acting. I enjoyed all of them, but it's just weird that they cast like 20-year-olds and then it raised the age of the the characters to like 16 or how, I don't even know how old they were supposed to be, but raise the age to 16ish, instead of like casting like them as children. I don't know, it was weird. And as somebody who watched the first film, I think, before reading the books, I definitely watched one of them. I think it was just the first film. It was a big shock to me to then go into reading the books and being like, oh wait, they're supposed to be 12 years old. It was very odd for me. And also in terms of casting, they have said that they're not going to be basing the casting decisions on like the character descriptions. So like, I know a lot of people, when Walker was cast, everyone was saying, oh, he'd look great with like black hair or like brown hair. And then they said, oh, he won't be dyeing his hair because we don't feel like it's like necessary to his character. And yeah, then they also elaborated saying that, yeah, casting won't be based on like the appearance of the character in the books, but rather kind of like how they bring out the personality of the books, which I think is great. We don't really want to restrict casting on like trivial things. So yeah, I think it's great. Yeah, so I'm very excited for this series. I know it is probably going to be targeted towards more like teenagers, young teenagers, but I am so excited for it. I can't wait, and I have high hopes for it. And so, at the time of this video, the only cast member that has been announced has been Walker. So yeah, hopefully, I think they have talked about announcing Annabeth and Grover soon. So yeah, I'm just excited. It's going to be good. So my last piece of like big TV news is the announcement of Taskmaster Quebec or Taskmaster Canada, depending on which way you want to look at it. And yeah, this will start in fall of 2022. And yeah, it's Taskmaster Quebec, so it will be entirely in French with French-speaking comedians and will be aired in just the Quebec region rather than like the whole of Canada. I'm not too sure about that. I don't know kind of like how the regions work in Canada. From reading a Reddit thread, some people seem to be under the impression that will stifle its growth and will not kind of allow it to expand to the rest of Canada, because even though Canada is bilingual, a lot of people just speak English rather than like English and French. But other people have pointed out that the Quebec TV entertainment industry is like blossoming and that it will do very well in that region and will keep it airing throughout like as it goes. I didn't know any of the people announced. I'll put it all up on the screen. And yeah, I've heard generally good kind of like excitement for the show. I'm excited just for another version of it. It's great to see Taskmaster growing and growing and growing. So yeah, I love that. And I wonder if, it is popular in like the Quebec region, whether or not it will expand into Canada like as a whole, and whether there will be like a Canadian Taskmaster rather than like a Quebec Taskmaster. So what did I watch in April? I've actually watched quite a lot in April. So the main thing is Our Flag Means Death, which I did a whole video on, which you can find up here. Oh yeah, and a correction for that video, I did put it in a pinned comment, but I said the show was created by Taika Waititi, which is just wrong. It was created by David Jenkins, and yeah, I apologise for that. It was just, I know a lot of people have kind of fallen into that trap that I fell into. The fact that when I saw it on Twitter and everybody talking about it, it was always kind of pushed to me as like Taika Waititi's new pirate show. And I just didn't think to clarify that or look into it more. I just took that as it was and was like, oh, he created the show, which was just not wrong. All credit to that goes to David Jenkins. He is the creative genius around the show and the one that we should be thanking. So if you are unaware, it is an amazing comedy, drama, romantic comedy in a way about pirates, about Stede Bonnet, who is a gentleman pirate based on a real person, which completely flew over my head the first time I watched it. But yeah, he's based on a real person, and it's about his pirate ship and all of his crewmates, and yeah, adventuring on the high seas. And then they eventually meet Blackbeard, and shenanigans ensue, and it is amazing. It is emotional, it is funny, I absolutely love it. The next show I watched was Anatomy of a Scandal, and this is a Netflix original, and I did really enjoy it. There are some parts of it that were a bit far-fetched, but then other parts I did feel were quite realistic. It's based on a book, and it follows kind of like the story of this high-ranking politician who's like the Prime Minister's like best buddy. They went to like university together, and very like elitist community kind of thing, and he is accused of R-wording a colleague that he was having an affair with, and it's about his court trial and also about his wife struggling to kind of like find out the truth. And I would say if you don't like watching things about, of that nature, I would probably stay away from this, because not only is it quite vivid in the graphic and the description of what happens, it also does kind of like visually show what happened, and it was quite shocking to me, but yeah, I would definitely stay away from it if you're sensitive to that kind of thing, because yeah, it's not worth putting yourself through that just to watch a show. But yeah, otherwise it was very good. I was captivated the whole way through. As I said, there was one aspect of it that did feel to me a bit far-fetched, but I think it suited the story quite well. I made it a bit more entertaining, a bit different to other kind of like court trial shows. So yeah, I strongly recommend. I also watched Hull Raisers, which is a fantastic comedy created by Lucy Beaumont, and I particularly enjoyed this as well, I think, because as somebody who's watched Meet the Richardsons, not the latest series though, sorry, but they talk about one of the kind of storylines is Lucy creating a show based in Hull, and yeah, that's what it is. It's a show following the lives of three women all kind of linked together, so it's like sisters, and then their friend's brother is married to one of the sisters, and yeah, it's fantastic. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I wish there were more episodes. I think it was only like 6, but I loved all 3 of the main characters. I thought they were fantastic. I loved her husband as well, the main character's husband. It was just all fantastic. Yeah, I don't really know how else to describe it apart from it's just very funny, and I think it's probably my favourite work of Lucy Beaumont's, even though I do really like Meet the Richardsons, but I just thought it was fantastic. I thought it was so good, and I cannot wait for a series 2 if they announce it. I also watched The Pact, which is a crime drama based on kind of like, it's a based in a factory in Wales. Yeah, basically a group of women I don't want to go too into the specifics, but they kind of play a prank and it goes out of hand, and they make a pact not to talk about, like, to kind of stick together, keep their story straight. And it's about like the police kind of investigating it and trying to work out what happened. And yeah, it was very good. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It's the main character is, I can't remember her real name for the life of me, but she played Lydia in Breaking Bad, and she was also in another crime drama called Traces. She's amazing. I really, really enjoyed her. Yeah, fantastic. I also watched for the first time, which I know I'm very behind in this, but I watched Feel Good, which is Mae Martin's show, semi-autobiographical, biographical. Yeah, absolutely brilliant. It was emotional. It was funny. It was, so good, like dealing with their addiction and their kind of gender identity journey. And yeah, Charlotte Ritchie is in it, which is always a plus, and I thought she was great in it as well. Yeah, emotional, funny, I love that. Again, another one of those shows where I wish there was more episodes. Yeah, and I was very late to the party with that one. I don't know why it took me so long to watch, but yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed every second of it. And at the moment there are kind of like 3 shows on the go that I'm watching like week by week, and these are Derry Girls, Inside Number 9 and Taskmaster, all 3 of which I think have been fantastic so far. Ooh, which one's my favourite out of Derry Girls and Taskmaster? I think both of those are just absolutely fantastic. Taskmaster 13 is shaping up to be an absolutely fantastic season, and Derry Girls, as usual, is hilarious and funny. Oh, and actually, that is something I forgot to talk about. Derry Girls is... So, yeah, Series 3 is the last series of Derry Girls, which is super sad, but they have, like, literally the other day announced that there is going to be a final episode in addition to Series 3 that will be an extended length episode. I'm doing this all from memory, so apologies if I get anything wrong. That's going to be based around the Good Friday Agreement. It's going to be based around that. I think it's going to be very, very good. I will never say no to more Derry Girls, and the fact that it's going to be extended length is fantastic news to me. And yeah, not over yet, which is fantastic. And yeah, Inside Number 9 is also very, very good as well. We've only had 2 episodes, and both have been good. Neither of them have been particularly like shocking. I would definitely say the second episode I enjoyed more, just by how weird and crazy it was. Can't go wrong with Inside Number 9 either, so it's been a great month for TV for me. So yeah, that's the end of the video. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, then please give it a like. It is much appreciated and it really helps the channel. And comment down below what your thoughts on anything that I've talked about today and any show recommendations that you have. I will always accept more recommendations. And yeah, subscribe if you want to watch more videos to do with TV in general. I will have more videos out for you soon. Bye!